So I'm back, and the Champions League is back as well, and I am so excited. Barcelona are finally back in the Champions League. We were in the Europa League last time. We got knocked out by Manchester United, but that is no longer. Barcelona have just come off of a fantastic victory up against Real Betis, and I am so excited. We have so many good signings. But let's get into my predictions because there's a lot of groups to go through, a lot of teams to go through, and Barcelona's in the last one. So let's start off with the first one, Group A. In Group A, we have Manchester United, Bayern Munich, Copenhagen, and Galatasaray. These are all fantastic teams. Arguably, they all deserve to go through, but let's not beat around the bush. Bayern Munich is finishing first for me, and in last place, I'm going to go with Copenhagen. They're a fantastic side, but I can't really name you any of their players. Plus, they haven't done too well in the Champions League. I don't know how well they do in the Danish League, but so far, I have to go for Bayern Munich in first and fourth place for Copenhagen. Now, Bayern Munich, they signed Harry Kane. They desperately needed a strong striker. They brought him in. Fantastic. A lot of people are saying that they need depth in midfield, especially after Kimmich possibly leaving. But I mean, he's there. Leon Goretzka is a fantastic player. They also have Konrad Laimer. But I don't know. According to some people, they don't have enough depth, especially in the midfield. But I think they do. I think they're pretty solid. I do think they have a fantastic starting 11. I think the main issue is a goalkeeper. They have Sven Ulreich, and they did have Jan Sommer, but that was only for half of the season last season, and he's gone to Inter Milan now, and Manuel Neuer is still injured, so it's quite difficult to say that they have a solid goalkeeper. So I would argue that that's their main issue, but apart from that, they have a fantastic side, and I would argue that they could definitely go far in this Champions League and maybe even win it. But speaking of which, let's go on to second place. And second place, I have Manchester United. I know a lot of people may say that they haven't had the greatest start to the season, and they haven't. But I don't think Galatasaray has enough firepower to actually propel themselves into second place. I know they have a fantastic home run, and they also have a fantastic side. They have Mauro Icardi, Lucas Torreira, and they brought in the likes of Angelino and a few other players, but I just don't see it. I know they have Willy Zaha as well, but he just got injured, and he won't be playing for a foreseeable future, but still, I desperately think that Manchester United will make it through with Bayern Munich. It's a pretty easy group to decide, but still, on to Group B now, and arguably, I kind of see this as a Europa League group, not because these teams don't deserve to be here, but it's just a few seasons ago, this would be seen as a Europa League group. I mean, Arsenal, Sevilla, RC Lens, and PSV. I mean, Arsenal and PSV faced each other in the Europa League last season, and anyways, that's besides the point. Who am I going to put in first? I'm going to go with Arsenal. Arsenal are just a fantastic side. They are struggling a little bit in the league so far this season. They haven't started as strong as last season, but still, they're a fantastic side. Bukayo Saka and so many other great players like Martin Odegaard and William Saliba. So many other great players. Arsenal, top of the group, and I don't really have any qualms about that. Now, second place, that's where it's a little bit difficult because we do have Sevilla, we have PSV, and RC Lens. I think all three teams deserve or have a chance to actually make it in the second place, but I'm going to go with PSV Eindhoven. They just brought in Chucky Lozano back from Napoli, and I think that's a pretty good signing. They did lose Xavi Simons and a few other great players, but I do think that they have enough. They are a fantastic side in the Eredivisie, and I think they have enough to actually finish in second place and make it out of this group. Surprising no one, I have Sevilla in fourth, actually, because I think Sevilla will have a very terrible season. They do have Sergio Ramos back, and that is a fantastic signing, but apart from that, they got no one. They lost their main guy, their main goalkeeper, Yasin Bono, and I think that is a major loss. They still have City, but I just don't see Sevilla playing that well. They haven't had a great start. Last season was pretty bad, and it's just Sevilla are not convincing me. Meanwhile, RC Lens, they did lose their main players as well. You know what? Swap that. I'm going with Sevilla in third place. I mean, they might go to Europa League again. I mean, Sergio Ramos, I think he's the only reason why I'm actually putting them in third place. And RC Lens, we're going in fourth because they did lose their two main players, Fofana and Openda. And I think those are huge losses. And I just don't see Lens doing as well as they did last season. And they are kind of new to the Champions League. I think they are new to the Champions League. So I don't see them doing too well. Fourth place for them, Sevilla third place. On to Group C now. And we have Union Berlin, Napoli, Real Madrid, and SC Braga. Now, all these 4 teams, they're fantastic teams, but of course, Real Madrid are the standout for this side, and I'm going to put them in first place. I know they have major injuries to Thibaut Courtois, to Eder Militao, and even Vinicius Jr. now, and they have no striker. I mean, they have Joselu, but he's not a world-class or out-and-out, just bang for bang goal scorer. You know, he won't get you 25 goals in the season, but he's there and he did a pretty good job. And Real Madrid have gone, I think, 5 for 5 wins in La Liga, so I can't really fault them for that. They're doing fantastic so far. Jude Bellingham has been tearing it up in La Liga so far, and they have a fantastic midfield. Their defense is a little bit lackluster, and they are missing their starting goalkeeper, but still, Real Madrid should have enough firepower to make it top, if not at least second. They're definitely making it out of this group. I don't see them getting in third place. As much as I don't like Real Madrid, I'm a huge Barca fan. Real Madrid are going through. Now, in second place, I could see Union Berlin getting through, or SC Braga, but I'm going for Napoli. Napoli have weakened quite a bit. They lost Kim and Jay, but they still have Kvaratskhelia and they still have Osimhen, but they did lose their manager, and I think that is a very huge loss. I think Spalletti was a fantastic manager, and yet now bringing in their new coach, I don't think that we'll be able to see that Napoli magic. I think Osimhen will carry them quite a bit, and he will carry them to second place. And in third place, I see Union Berlin. I think they're a fantastic side who could definitely, cause some problems to Real Madrid, to Napoli, and destroy SC Braga. Union Berlin did bring in quite a few players like Kevin Volland and Leonardo Bonucci, if I'm not mistaken, but still, I don't think it is quite enough for them to finish any in the top 2, but I think top 3 finishes pretty good for them. While Braga, they're a fantastic side in Portugal, they're not so good in the European competitions, so I do have them finishing in 4th. I'm sorry, Braga, you're a fantastic side, but just not good enough for this group. But hopefully we get to see you in the Champions League next season, or maybe in the Europa League, where you might fit in a little bit better. We have RB Salzburg, Inter Milan, Benfica, and Real Sociedad. I think all 4 of these teams have enough to make it through, but I can only choose 2. This is very tough, and I'm going for Inter Milan on top. I think Inter Milan just are the best team in this group. They have the best chances of going through and should go through. I mean, they were finalists, they were runners-up of the Champions League last season, and they haven't had too many losses. I mean, they lost Romelu Lukaku, but Lautaro Martinez has been on fire this season so far. And they did lose Skriniar, but they brought in Jan Sommer as a new goalkeeper. I don't know. I see Inter Milan could go both ways. They could finish 3rd, but also finish 1st. But I'm going for 1st. I feel like I have the most confidence in them out of these 4 teams. Meanwhile, we have Benfica, RB Salzburg, and Real Sociedad. I think second place will be fought between Real Sociedad and Benfica, and I'm gonna give it to Real Sociedad because Benfica have lost quite a few players. They lost Gonçalo Ramos, they lost Enzo Fernandez, and they lost a few other players that are just crucial to that side. I know maybe they brought in some pretty good players, some pretty good replacements, but it's not convincing me. And I don't like relying too much on, the replacements or the new signings, because I feel like if we focus too much on them, then we won't be able to, manage our expectations for them or give them enough time to develop in that side. And for me, I think Benfica, they're a fantastic side and can definitely prove me wrong, but I don't see it happening this season, especially with Real Sociedad's Kubo having a fantastic start to the season. And I can't believe that I'm saying this, but Kubo has been one of the best players in La Liga, if not the best player in La Liga so far in this month, in this start to the season, and he could prove it in the Champions League. I want him to prove it in the Champions League because I'm a huge fan of his. And RB Salzburg, I'm sorry, I'm putting you in 4th. You're a fantastic side, but lost a lot of great players. I mean, Adeyemi's gone, he's been gone for a while. You lost Benjamin Sesko, and it's just, you've lost quite a few players, and I just don't see you doing too well. But good luck wherever you finish. Group B also kind of screams Europa League to me, but they're not. It's just based off of, previous seasons. But we have Atletico Madrid, Celtic, Feyenoord, and Lazio. Now, this is a very, very tough group to go through, but I'm sorry, I'm gonna put Celtic in 4th place. 4th place for Celtic. I mean, Rangers did not do too well, and Celtic are arguably a better team than Rangers in the Scottish division, but they play the Scottish teams. If they were to play some more English teams or some other teams that of a bit more caliber or a bit stronger caliber, then I would, bump them up a little bit. But Celtic just don't convince me, and they lost their manager, and I think it's going to be a pretty tough season for them. I think they can still win the Scottish Premier League, but I think it's a pretty tough one for them. Now, into third place, I'm going to give it to Lazio. I know people may crucify me for that, but they did lose Sergej Milinkovic-Savic. They did bring in Daichi Kamada and a few other great players, and they still have Immobile, but it's just Lazio doesn't convince me. I was even surprised to see them in the Champions League. I didn't know that they were in the Champions League up until I was making this video, but I mean, congrats to them. But I'm just such a huge fan of Feyenoord right now. I think Feyenoord and Atletico Madrid definitely make it through. I think Atletico Madrid make it top just based off of their form this season so far. Griezmann's on fire. Memphis Depay is playing so much better, and with the loss of João Felix, I think they don't have that player that's kind of ruining the morale a little bit. I'll speak on him once we get to Barcelona, but I think Atletico Madrid are on fire this season, and I'm having them first. Meanwhile, Feyenoord in second because I think they're fantastic. They won the Eredivisie last season, and I think they're just going to be so good. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Santiago Jimenez. He should have gone to the World Cup for Mexico last season, but I'm a huge fan of Feyenoord, and I'm rooting for them to finish in second, maybe even first, but we will see. On to the group of death now. We have Newcastle, PSG, Dortmund, and AC Milan. This is the group of death. This is the toughest one to decide. I've switched around so many times, and it's just, it is so hard. It is so hard to choose because Dortmund, PSG, AC Milan, and Newcastle, I'm all huge fans of all of them, but just based off of the teams, I'm going to go PSG in first. Second place, I'm going to go AC Milan. Third place, I'm going to go Newcastle. And fourth place, I'm going to go Dortmund. I am so sorry, Dortmund. I love Dortmund so much. I mean, they have one of my favorite players, one of my favorite defenders, Nico Schlotterbeck. They have Marco Reus. They have a fantastic goalkeeper in Kobel. But it's just, I got to give it to them in fourth. Newcastle, fantastic side, but it's just pretty poor start to the season. I could see you even finishing in fourth, but I could also see you finishing in first, but it's so tough. Newcastle, you just don't have the depth. You have Sandro Tonali, and I cannot wait to see him play up against his former team, but it's just so tough. AC Milan have had a fantastic transfer window with Christian Pulisic and so many other great players coming in, and it's just, it's so hard to choose. And PSG have also had a fantastic transfer window. They lost Neymar, they lost Messi, and yet somehow they've strengthened where they needed to. I mean, their defense looks so much better. I think the only weak spot is their midfield, but even their midfield is quite solid. I just think they need a little bit more experience with the loss of Marco Verratti. I think they do need a little bit more experience in the midfield, but still, fantastic side. I think it's very tough, and I had to go on my instinct. I'm going for my instinct, and I'm going PSG, AC Milan, Newcastle, and Dortmund. I'm not going to switch it because I feel like I'm going to switch it if I go on any more about them. So let's move on to the next group. So from the group of death to one of the easier groups to predict, I'm going Man City on top, and then RB Leipzig in second, and then it's a toss-up between Red Star and Young Boys, but I'm going to go with Young Boys in fourth and Red Star Belgrade in third because, I mean, I didn't go over the teams before my prediction, but I just had to go for the prediction because I'm running out of time, but also it's just pretty easy. Man City won the Champions League last season. RB Leipzig are miles ahead of Red Star and Young Boys, and it'll be a huge shock if any of those teams make it over RB Leipzig, and if Man City don't finish in first, it'll be a massive disappointment for Guardiola and the rest of his team. But I think it's pretty obvious. Man City in first, second place RB Leipzig, and it's a toss-up for who gets Europa League, but I think Red Star are just slightly better, although Young Boys could cause an upset for Red Star, but that's just my opinion. Now on to the last group, where FC Barcelona are obviously in this, and of course, they're huge favorites for this group because FC Barcelona, Porto, Royal Antwerp, and Shakhtar Donetsk. I think all four teams are pretty decent. I think Royal Antwerp are the weakest, and I think they should finish in fourth, but they could cause a little bit of an upset. They won the Belgian league over the likes of Anderlecht and quite a few other great teams in the Belgian league. I mean, Toby Alderweireld was a fantastic player who even scored the winner for Belgium, for that team to actually win the Belgian league, but that's besides the point. I still think they will finish in fourth. They do have a young and up-and-coming midfielder that even Barcelona and Manchester United are interested in. But I don't know. I don't see Antwerp doing too well in this group, but I don't know. I could be wrong. In third place, I'm going Shakhtar Donetsk. They're a fantastic side, but again, don't see them doing too well in this Champions League. They could cause an upset and could finish in second or even a surprise first, but I don't see them doing that this season. I think Barcelona and Porto are just a little bit stronger, or just too strong for them, and they could be a slight banana peel for Barcelona or Porto. They have been in the past for the likes of Real Madrid and a few other great teams, but it's just, I don't know, this season they don't inspire me much. Now, second place, I'm going for Porto. I know I could easily go for Barcelona. Barcelona have not been quite good in the Champions League, especially in the past few seasons under Xavi. Xavi has not proven himself in the Champions League yet, but I think this is the season where he does it. I mean, after that performance up against Real Betis, the introduction of João Felix and João Cancelo and so many other great players. I mean, we only spent 3 million on Oriol Romeo, and then the rest of them have either been loans or free transfers like Inigo Martinez and also Ilkay Gundogan. And to think that we still don't even have Araujo back, and Pedri, arguably one of our best midfielders and arguably our best center back, and it's just, it's so insane to think about, because we have such great depth in the attack, in the midfield, and in the defense, and we have a fantastic goalkeeper in Marc-Andre ter Stegen, who has been on fire last season and has been amazing this season as well. It's just, if we're able to play how we did against Real Betis, I think we should be able to beat anybody. I think we should be able to be in the conversation of maybe winning it, of making it at least to the semifinals. I think a good season for the Champions League would be making it to the quarterfinals and putting up a fight in the quarterfinals. A great season would be making it to the semifinals, and a fantastic season would be final and maybe even winning it. And do I think we have a chance of winning it? Maybe. Is there a realistic chance of winning it? Probably not. But I do have faith in Barcelona, and I'm actually happy and excited to watch them in the Champions League nights now, and I'm so happy. I wish we had a little bit of a tougher opponents in the groups. I am a little bit worried about Porto, because Porto have been quite a big shocker in the past few seasons. They have caused upsets, and they are a fantastic side who, provide great football and who do cause a challenge for any team that faces up against them. So it is an interesting team to play up against, but I do have them finishing in second. They could cause an upset and finish in first, but I just don't see it. I think Barcelona are just a little bit too strong, and they have a little bit more momentum. So there you go. Those were my Champions League predictions. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please do like and subscribe, and late.